Glad to have you back. If you're just joining us, you're watching The Conversation right here on Lagos Television. It's no longer news that we have cholera outbreak in Nigeria. And of course, The Conversation this morning is addressing the challenges of cholera outbreak. 10 states are leading in the death or the casualty of cholera in Nigeria, with 7 from the southern part of Nigeria. We have states like Lagos, Bayelsa, Abia, Zamfara, Bauchi, Katsina, Cross River, Ebonyi, Rivers, and Delta State. Now, these are states that we feel should know better in dealing with the issue of cholera, but it's a disaster that has actually claimed about 63 lives so far. What are we doing wrong and how do we mitigate it? That's why we are having this conversation. We have in the studio with us the sanitarian doctor Samuel Akingbe. Is the past national president of Environmental Health Officers Association of Nigeria. It's a pleasure to have you join us again in the studio.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Nigeria.
I know Lagos State has developed a committee, that entire government agency that seeks to deal with this. And of course, the NCDC chairman, who is also a former Commissioner for Health in Lagos, Jide Idris, said, look, if this thing is not curtailed, we might likely declare a state of emergency. But so far, it's almost 100 of people, 63 so far, we have in the country. How bad is it? Let's just start from there, because we know what causes cholera, we know why it's happening, but why are we talking about it now?
Oh, well, once again, I want to thank you because you've created a platform once again for people of Lagos and Nigeria to hear and to understand what issue we have at our right now. But talking about what the situation is, it's not far-fetched. It affects health, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's of public health importance, and then it already started claiming lives. 63 is not a joke. Mm-hmm. So it is a very serious issue. And you can see that though the prevalent, the fatality rate is low, 3%, so to say, but once one person or 2 or 3 begin to drop dead as a result of an issue, it calls for concern. That is the reason why it has to be looked at that level. So that is exactly what we see here. Cholera is something we cannot afford but to talk about. We cannot overemphasize it because it affects both young, old, male, female, persons of different class and caliber. So it is something we have to look at.
Well, is that the reason why we should worry, or because this time so many diseases or outbreaks kill people normally, but why do we have to pay attention to this one?
It becomes worrisome when it is something you can actually prevent.
Oh, there you go.
And the factors that enhance the spread of cholera, they are right around us. They are what we do that we do not do well. One person's omission or commission, one person's error that affects the generality. It's more like a weapon of mass destruction. Mm-hmm. And so we have to be concerned about it. Look at it. It becomes very, very delicate right now without having to create fear in the mind of people. Look at what happened between yesterday and today, the flooding. Mm-hmm. And the flooding, people see the water, but in the environmental health profession, we see beyond the water. Mm-hmm. It's a very serious issue, because the water you see flowing from Agunbiade Street, flowing down to whatever, how far or how close street, is washing through the septic tank. Is washing the content of the septic tank into people's private living rooms and their sitting rooms and into their kitchens. I was around Okota yesterday. I saw some houses totally submerged. Their kitchens were submerged. So you see the water that you call flooding. It's already carrying the color of content of septic tank.
The picture you're painting.
See again, and it's washing through drains, and it must be desired, because anything can actually happen. Now, those are areas that are still upland a little, but there are areas that are close or that are on the coastal lines of a lot of states, and particularly also Lagos. They are living on a time bomb. Anything can happen. So it calls for serious concern.
Okay. You said there are omissions on the part of the people, what they should do that ordinarily they don't do, which is contributing to the outbreak of cholera. But there are certain omissions on the part of government as well. People do not have access to pipe-borne water. How do we begin to address this problem in such a way that government should play its part so that the government will be able to hold the people accountable that, okay, I have done my part, then if I've done my part, you should do your part as well. Because cholera in Nigeria is becoming a recurring problem. And year in, year out, we continue to fight cholera.
Yeah. I know that the episodes was often time. The last episode was that was so serious was 2021, and that claimed a lot of tens of thousands of lives. Now, there are omissions on the part of the government, and what they keep promising is they are working on it. Of course, we see them working on it. Some proactive governments like that of Lagos and some others say they are working on it. They are putting that in place. The issue of water supply is a terrible one. The GM or the MD of NCDC, Dr. Jude Idris, he did mention that absence of potable water supply is one of the main of the problem we have, and so the government have to look into that. There are some areas that government also needs to go further to create what we can call, because for the peculiarity of some of our urban cities, to create a communal sanitary conveniences. Because let me take
like
for
public
instance,
toilets?
Yes, that is larger than what we have now. There are some areas that actually need such facility. The landlords, they are deliberately or they are incapacitated, maybe by financial constraints, cannot provide adequate sanitary conveniences.
You know, it amazes me when people say that there are some houses in Nigeria without toilets.
There are.
Even in Lagos here.
I can tell you categorically by statistics that 48 million Nigerians and above don't have access to sanitary conveniences. What they do is open defecation. And that is why out of 774 local governments in Nigeria, only 123 can boast of have sanitary convenience that is adequate and that is sanitary enough. Look at all these our coastal regions, our coastal lines. The landlords will buy lands into water, into swampy areas, but they cannot afford to sink in the appropriate toilet facility. If you want to do something in a waterlogged area that is sanitary, that is structurally sound, that will be a holding tank for human feces, it has to be something you cast in situ, not you are digging. I mean, before you dig 2 feet or thereabout, water is out. The water table is so high, so you have to cast up land and now sink to get it to a structural level stability that can hold phases and effluent. But this is not what we have now. In fact, in some areas, there is absolutely total absence of sanitary conveniences. And you see people defecating at the backyard of their house, or within the corridor, or along the bushes side. They defecate in polythene bag or in plastics, and they take them to water body, go and throw them there. This is what we have that will make this issue so much, dangerous. Because when water flows, it flows into another person's compound, like what we had, and it carries all these things in there. And even if it's not carried by water, there are vectors. There are, insect pests that picks the bacteria
and perch on the food,
and perch on another person's food or water, and then gets foods and water's contaminated. This is why we also still want to discourage eating right now open food, exposed food.
I was going to food sanitation, especially for the likes of Joy and Gladys who like to eat outside all the time. Our food vendors now, how do we begin to engage them in such a way that we'll be able to at least curtail the outbreak of this cholera?
Oh, well, nationwide, in all the states and local governments, we have environmental health officers who go about educating people. They educate
food vendors.
Yes, food vendors, and even the food consumers. Because if food vendor put the food down, nobody buys, it knows that it's run at a loss. It is somebody that buys that food. Stop eating by roadside right now. Stop eating exposed food. Go to a food premises that is licensed by the health authority, then you know that you are safe to a large extent. And then for the food vendors, you don't have to cook your food in a dirty environment. All this cooking and selling of food on garages, close to a waste dump, close to drainages, close to toilets, close to an unhealthy environment has to stop.
People cook
right now.
Close to toilets.
Yeah, yes, they do. Even the public toilets, you see, don't you see people cooking around and selling food around there? They do. And this is the reason why environmental officers always go out to discourage that. In some cases, as the case may warrant, they will confiscate whatever thing they cook along that kind of environment and take them away. That is when they have been warned and they're not taking it.
I know. When we talk about cholera, it is a bacterial disease.
Yeah.
And I know Lagos State government has deployed thousands of public toilets, that one I'm aware of, to help people with this. But we have a situation where people, is it a function of orientation or upbringing that you can't situate the severity of open defecation, because that's another challenge altogether, or that's another one, a kettle of fish. But it all contributes to the issue we have at the moment of cholera. So where do we start from? Is it something we also need to help in our schools, our primary schools, to help people understand that, look, we have these things that are interconnected. If we don't do well in terms of our sanitation, we have flooded environment, we have fluid move from one point to the other, we have rodent perch on the food that we eat, and whatever affects the eye affects the nose or affects the eye. So it's an endemic situation we must deal with. How best can we deal with it? I guess that's the question I'm trying to ask. Where do we start from?
Okay, there are the responsibilities of different players in this case. You as an individual, the community in terms of the Community Development Association, Community Development Committees, Landlord Association, estates and all this, then the government. The government, though, they are trying, but I will ask for more. That if they do more, definitely they will save the resource that they have to use in curing diseases, in running after curative to provide other amenities.
Okay, Doctor, I think we will come back to other solutions we have for solving this pandemic. We'll take a short break, a quick one. When we come back, we just need to find a way how to resolve this in the shortest possible time. The conversation continues shortly. Outbreak, where do we start from? And I think you've talked about the role of government.
Yes. I was talking about the role of government, that the government needs to increase the number of public conveniences that we have, public toilets. We need more of it and in a larger size to serve people in their this smallest unit, the CDAs, the wards. Thank you. That's the word. They should have in the wards, because you can imagine how many people come into Lagos all the time. It is every day. Like before the day break today, a lot of come and they're not going back. A lot of our parks are without public toilet. They need to do that, and they need also to bring out the policy whereby that will enable places of public places to make provision for adequate and sanitary convenience and make available for the use of the people. Petrol stations, churches, mosques, eateries, and a lot of those places where people gather in their active days. They definitely will need somewhere to defecate. If this is made available, it's going to reduce the issue of open defecation. Then landlords must be made to be answerable and responsible to create it, no matter how. There must be a very good portion of your property, of your premises, that is allotted for sanitary conveniences, and nothing must compromise it. That should also be the idea of converting toilets to shops, converting toilets to kitchen. You know, that should come to an end. And environmental health officers also have been going around to check this. I want to implore them to do more in terms of this. Nobody's going to question you for doing your job. Please do it and follow it to logical conclusions to make sure you abate nuisances. I want to bring something out, my brother. There is something that is affecting coastal states, which is not natural. It is government and individuals that have the capacity to do that. Check the map of Lagos, for instance, the one we knew when we were in secondary school and in the university. They are not what we have now, because the coastal regions, the coastlines have been filled, some filled. People buy into water bodies and they start to fill it. Go to the likes of the island, the Koi, VI, and the rest of you see them do indiscriminate sand filling. It is reducing the carriage capacity of the lagoon.
Isn't that where government should come
of the water body? That's what I'm saying.
And sanction them?
Yes. This should stop. It should be properly monitored. You will see dredgers in the water bringing sand, and the sand field is center of lagoon. Sand is the coast region of lagoon. I don't know. This should be looked into and be stopped almost immediately. In the larger of this place, in Oworo, there is wetland, there is water body, and there is highland. The wetland is supposed to balance what happens on the water body and the highlands. But now the wetlands have been taken over. They've been built up. Like everywhere you have, they've been built up. And so the water has to be forced into interland. So when it happens like that, it's going to definitely affect everything.
Because will find its level.
When you don't have flooding before, now you have it like almost permanently. So this should be looked seriously into. Then for the individuals, there is no point I use my money to buy death for myself. I can't. It is almost insane for you to use your money and buy for yourself what will kill you. If you see food being sold at the roadside, don't use your money to, no matter the level of hunger that you
please tell them.
Please go to where you have properly constructed and operated canteen and eat there. Don't eat exposed food. And you members of the public, even if you are not eating, you see enforcement agents, environmental health officers removing this food from the roadside. Don't say they must eat, they must make money. The money they are making is at your health, at your expense. Everybody has to have his hands on deck. I'm going to call also on CDAs and CDCs, landlord association, and please let everybody be watchdogs.
Okay, all right. My own concern now is the level of awareness at the grassroots level. Is this significant enough? Because when you see the quality of life that people are living at the grassroots level is nothing compared to the city, and majority of them they compromise when it comes to their sanitation and hygiene. What do you think government should begin to do in this direction, especially the local government chairman?
I will quickly go to something that struck my mind right now in answering your question. Do you know that most of the areas so concerned, so affected, they are the urbanized communities?
Really?
Because there is rural urban migration. So people are not so much in those places you have, but in the urban centers for commercial attraction and all that, people are so much. And then we compromise and used in a very bad situation the issue of sanitation and sanitary conveniences. So the awareness is there. I want to thank LTV8 and the conversation once again for bringing this up. This is an ample opportunity for people to know what we are talking about. And then I will emphasize to you that environmental health officers, part of their job is to educate the people. So it's not an issue of sanctioning all the time. We'll tell you this situation is capable of causing this problem. You have to stop this within social time. When you don't do it, we take you to court or take enforcement on you.
But they used to go from house to house.
Yeah, we are willy that goes from house to house. One aspect of our job.
I've not seen anyone since I've been
checking it.
He said I've seen him. That's a nice one.
See,
So you still go from house to house?
we do every day. In fact, we intensified it because we've had episodes of epidemics.
Do you actually go to places where you know there are so many contraventions?
Yes.
Because I know in those days you have Willy.
Yes. You know why it's popular those days is because that is one out of about 16 aspects of our job. We call it premises inspection or environmental audit, to check what each premises carry, what they are doing wrongly, what they are not doing right, so we correct them and give them abatement notices where necessary, and where they are recalcitrant, we sanction them. So that goes on every day in all the local governments of the state. You can see yesterday or thereabout, the commissioner cited there was a report. Some people are dumping refuse in the flood. So he called, and health officers from one local government in Lagos State moved immediately to the place, and they sealed up the premises. The commissioner, it was on the X page of the commissioner that I saw it, where he put the picture there as the place is being. You will see my uniform there. That was the uniform of the cycle. Okay. So we are everywhere. We are in the Ministry of Environment. We are in the Ministry of Health. We are in the Ministry of Local Government and Community Affairs. We are everywhere. Just that we may not be in adequate manpower because the WHO recommendation is that one EHO should take care of 8,000 of the population, and right now if you look at the population of Lagos State, what we have on ground, but I still have to give kudos to Lagos State because other states are learning from it. Lagos State governor under this present administration employs environmental officers every year.
We seem to have forgotten.
This year is already coming up.
We seem to have forgotten something which we all did passionately during the time of COVID. That is washing of our hands and the use of sanitizers. How much help can this do in this fight against cholera?
Oh, it is one of the prevention that we're going to be talking about. And number one is personal hygiene. Take care of yourself. Make sure you are clean, you are okay all the time. Even to the extent of make sure you trim your hair, trim your nails. Make sure when you go to toilet, you wash your hand. You want to eat, you wash your hand. After eating, you wash your hand. When your children are playing or whatever thing, even you have to discourage them playing on surfaces right now, because the bacteria can be anywhere. So you have to discourage. You have to screen your houses, the doors and the windows. You have to screen to make sure that flies are not coming in. You screen your kitchen, screen your sanitary conveniences. Make sure your sanitary conveniences is intact, and always make sure that your refuse is in a covered waste receptacle, to make sure that your dustbin is structurally sound, it's okay, and is emptied regularly. Make sure your environment is clean. Trim the overgrown weeds around you. Make sure your drain is free flowing. Clean your toilet as if it's your bedroom. Clean your toilet as if it's your bedroom. When you use it, wash your hand. Make hand washing a habit. And food hygiene. When you cook your food, whether commercial purpose or for private, make sure they are of high standard.
Okay, I need to know, in case, how do you know when you have cholera? Because oftentimes it sounds amorphous because we think it's hyperflating about what's cholera. How do you know when you have one? What do you do when you have one? What is ORT? I don't know whether that works as well. How do we deal with it? And I know government also has health facility where you can be treated for free. That's what Lagos State government said.
Yeah. Cholera, it's acute bacterial infection. The onset can be as immediate or can be short distance from the time you pick the bacteria up. So it is something that come up, spontaneously, that you may not be prepared for. Of course, no one is prepared for infection. We can only prevent. So how you will know the clinical features, the manifestation that come up is you may have fever or you may not have, but you will have the immediate thing that takes you off your balance is frequent passing of watery stool, and then it goes also into vomiting. The Yoruba parents will call it aronigbamiji, because as you handle a bowl to collect vomiting the vomitors, the same thing. You are using the other one to collect the stooling. And the stooling is not normal stooling. It is watery. It is often called rice water stool. It looks like when you are sieving water from rice to soaked, and that shows that it is not just physics. It is the body electrolyte that is going down, and once it goes down to a level, you cannot handle it again. It becomes something very, very dangerous. That is why you see people dying. And peradventure, it came up in the middle of the night, or when you are not too close to health facility. ORS is very, very important that everybody knows about it. It is a very simple way of stabilizing the victim before you take the person to the health facility. What can you do? 2 full bottles of Sprite or Coke bottle. Pour it in a clean bowl, but make sure the water itself is clean, preferably boiled and cooled. So you put them in a bowl and then measure 5 level spoonful of sugar and pour it inside, and 1 level spoonful of salt in the same bowl. Then you stir very well. And be administering it every 4 hours to the victim before, as you take the person. Don't say that is not a solution. It's just a way of stabilizing their first aid. So as you take the person out immediately, in fact, that would be immediate. And second, another point is everyone has to be vigilant. You have to be vigilant. You have to watch around you. When you see anybody with such a condition, please help immediately and protecting yourself to the hospital. And when you see such, also report at the nearest local government, at the environmental service department. Let them come and disinfect, decontaminate that premises, the personal effect, the beddings, and all the utensils and everything the person uses. So you can, and then report immediately when you see people carrying out acts that is capable of sparking up cholera. That is when you see people
that's the slogan of Joshua. When you see something, you say something.
Yeah.
So my producer said I need to ask you, how do we, now that we have the rains or the floods with us, what should we do?
Okay. What you do, number 1, is to move from wherever you know the flood is perennial. If it is flooding that is static, we know we have flash flooding.
Yes.
It's different from real flooding. Flash flooding is a situation where the water body is so heavy, it's not receiving water from the hinterland quickly. So the waters will be retained in the hinterland, gradually to trickle into the water body, and within hours you see them fizzle out. But where you know it is permanently flooded, please move away. Don't say, I will leave the ground floor and be living on the first floor. Definitely, you will have to defecate. As you flush from the first floor, it goes into to your premises, back into your bedroom on the ground floor, into your sitting room. Because as you flush into the septic tank, the septic tank returns it back to you. What you throw to the environment throws back at you. If you throw 1, it throws 10 back. When you throw 2, it throws 20 back. So we just have to be wise. Move away from wherever that is, permanently flooded. Then make sure you do not block your drains. Don't empty refuse into drains. It is very, very counter-logical for you to think if you throw death in the drain here, it's going to go to heaven. It's not going anywhere. It's coming around back to you. It's going to block the drain somewhere and return the flood to you. What you throw there is coming back definitely. And then make sure you practice high food hygiene. Keep your foodstuff very, very well covered. Don't let any rodent have access to it. Don't let any vermin have access to it. They are supposed to be secured. Then do not wade in the water. Do not use the water to wash car or to wash clothes
or swim
or enjoy the.
Yes, in those days, children do come out and swim in flood. It is not advisable now. Keep your children under your watch and your care. Let them know what's in town and what they should do and what they shouldn't do. Flooding is not where you can be, swimming. And again, apart from the infection, effect of flooding itself is dangerous. It erodes the foot of wall of your house. So don't do what will make flooding come your way. If you see anybody building on drainage canal, kudos to the Honorable Commissioner, Honorable Wahab Tokumbo. He's doing greatly well, and his eyes is always on the ground. I want to mention also that of the Honorable Commissioner for Basic Education, Honorable Tolani Jamiu Ali Balogun. He is doing some things, a crusade into schools. You know, the time is up now when we have to declare zero tolerance to poor sanitation of our schools.
Okay.
And the sanitary conveniences.
So all hands must be on deck.
All hands must be. Everybody must be concerned.
I think on that note, we want to say thank you very much, Sanitarian Dr. Samuel Akinbeyi, past National President, Environmental Health Officers Association of Nigeria. It's a pleasure to have you join us this morning.
Thank you, sir.
I guess we need to bring you back again when we feel the need to have this conversation.
It will be my pleasure.
Thank you very much. That's about it for our conversation. I will be handing you over to Lagos for the conversation. Again, don't go anywhere. Stay with us.